Good day, everybody. Again, my name is Eric Leyland, and welcome to this month's newsletter. Again, if this is the first time that you've been into this channel and on this newsletter, we talk all things digital advertising and digital marketing. As the slide speaks to, we're going to be talking about native advertising, which may be a new topic for many of you, which is why I wanted to take some time and dive into this. I've been in this game for closing in on 20 years. I was doing the math the other day, and it's coming up on that number. And what's crazy about that is that evolution of digital advertising is, one of those things that's been on a roller coaster. It's fast paced and it's all over, right? And when we look at, again, what's at the fingertips of advertisers, at the fingertips of marketers, at the fingertips of businesses this day and age, there's a lot, right? We've talked about, if you've been in this channel before, you've heard me talk about the foundational pieces of Google, of social, of being in those areas. And it's important to be in those areas and to have a good footprint, but it's super, super competitive. There's lots of money being dumped into search engines. There's lots of money being dumped into social, but it's important to be there so that you're not losing, that conversation. But what's important about, again, the rest of the web where programmatic lives is making sure that you're impacting your brand, your messaging in front of the people that, again, you want to plant that seed. So when you look at, again, programmatic advertising, and this is one of the areas that I help a lot with, is to be able to make sure that your message is reaching an audience that you think is applicable for your product or service. So contextual advertising and native advertising are ways to reach into this environment differently. So I'm going to layer this conversation in a little bit to talk about what we have talked in the past. So when you look at, again, the programmatic universe, so outside of search and social lives this massive entity of the rest of the web. There's so many things that you can do to impact your messaging on mobile, on connected TV, on online video. All these different areas are available to you. I've not really talked too much about native advertising, so I wanted to bring this to the conversation about how to do this type of advertising and what it means and why it's powerful. So when you look at all the different levers that are at your hands when we talk about programmatic advertising, this is a core piece of reaching an audience that's in the content that they may be already reading. So native advertising lives in the copy, in the content of the pages that people are reading, both on mobile and tablet and desktop. So we're going to go into this. And what I love about native advertising, and we've seen that the click-through rates and conversion rates are very high on native advertising. And why is that? Because it lives in the content. So native advertising blends the content that the people are reading with the ads that clients are displaying to them. So it's developed to fit in the design of the website, of the platform. So you can see examples here. This is a travel and leisure website. This is US News. So these are ads that are being placed in this content that are targeting the reader with the message from the advertiser. So when you look at this, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up as we sit here in 2024, it's a massively growing industry, just like everything in the digital universe. We've talked about in the past, like how fast connected TV is ramping up. We've talked about how fast mobile advertising and geofencing and all the things, right? This is another area where a lot of dollars are now moving and migrating into it because of the ability to target advertising to personas, but make it live in an arena that looks like the, again, copy and what they're actually engaged with. So that's why one of the things that we see with native advertising is that because it marries it with the content that people are reading, the click-through rates are really, really high because they don't see it as an ad. One of the challenges, and I've heard this from others, and I believe it to be true, is that display ads, people don't see them, or they're not engaged on them. And to be honest, that can be the case, right? If they're not, again, speaking to the person that's seeing the ad, they're not going to click on it. But native advertising is set up differently, and it's another lever that you want to put into the toolkit of your advertising blend. So again, when you look at programmatic advertising, you should have multiple tactics, multiple things going on in one umbrella campaign so that you can engage your message in a lot of different areas. And this is an area, if you get out in front of, you're going to be able to win more at a lesser cost per impression, because it's going to allow us to be able to get ahead of some of these dollars that are going to be spent in this environment. So, why is native a good choice to be doing advertising for people that want to get involved in this arena? So, it drives engagements. Because it's married with the content of the ad, it sits in an arena that, again, looks like the ad or the content that the people are engaged on. So it's really designed, it's going to actually act differently than a display ad. It's designed to inform, educate, entertain. The copy and content of the ads, and we'll go back to some of the examples, are going to look different than a standard display ad that may just be a call to action. These types of ads are more upper funnel, and they're really about driving engagement to get people to see your brand, engage on your brand, and hopefully continue along that path. It's a different experience, right? So we talked about some of the challenges potentially with display ads. They kind of get lost in the mind of the people that are seeing them. This is a different experience that can be used to make sure that they're engaged on this brand, because they may not even see it as an ad the first time that they click through on it. We also want to make sure that we're connecting with content that's relevant to the person that's reading it. So again, if you're reading a travel blog and you're reading about different destinations because you're researching it, you can deliver a targeted ad for if you're a travel board, if you're a travel agent, like you can target that type of content with your messaging and marry that up. So it's highly targetable. It's, again, creating that experience for that user that's reading content in that category to then see and engage with your brand. And it performs throughout the sales funnel. So native can live at the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. So if you're, again, new to maybe marketing, or if this isn't your bailiwick, right? Marketing is going to be there to impact those people that are just learning you, which is the top of the funnel. And it can also be used at the bottom of the funnel when they're making that decision as to who to go with. So let's talk about the different creative offerings. So there's your native display. So as we've talked about and we saw a little bit earlier, those ads that can live in the feed of the article, they can live around it, or they can live in a standard ad unit, and that's on a display campaign. We can also do native video. So video can live in these environments, and you can actually get it so that it stands out as its own and be outstreamed, as we call it. It can also be high impact. So what are high impact ads? These are ads that are engaging, that they move, there's cinematographic pieces to it. So again, carousel, window, scroller, all of these are different types of ways that ads can live. And these are what they look like. So they're going to live in the copy, in the content of the websites, and they're, again, designed to live in feed of the site itself. And that's part of our job. Part of our job is to make sure that it meshes with the website content so that people are going to be more engaged with it. Another way that it can look is a widget within the tablet or mobile device. So these are different ways that, again, the ad can live. So I brought up one, and this is from the Philly Inquirer, and apparently the Wonderland Pier is going to be closing in Ocean City. But I just brought this up. So these are your standard display ads that are here. So the Borgata is promoting their end of summer showdown. So these are the types of content pieces or marketing pieces that are out here in this content. But also, as you can see, as I'm reading through, if you're going to be reading this, there are going to be native ads that are going to be living in this content. So as we get to the bottom here, we're going to see, and here's one. This is an ad that's in feed that's targeting the user that's reading content. So this is a type of native ad that lives in content. So again, this is not usually a standalone tactic. So what do I mean by that? Most advertisers are going to be running, like Borgata, display ads. They're going to be running video ads. They're going to be running connected TV ads. Native advertising can really live in this type of arena to go back to, again, building awareness, building that understanding that you're available for this type of service or this type of product. And that is, again, in a lot of different capacities, going to change the messaging. The more that you can target these different areas and change the scope of how people see you, the better the click-throughs, the better the engagement. So it's not typically a standalone, meaning that, like, most of my clients are running multiple tactics. So it's going to be one of those things that's another tactic. But it's one that's really important because it helps to, again, stand out from the crowd. And if you're doing advertising, that's what you want, right? You want people to notice you. And the more that you wrap your head around all these different levers that are pulled, the more impactful your advertising is going to have. So if you have questions about, again, what you can do in 2024 and as we move into the new year, right? It's not that far away. We're going to start planning for the coming year. And a lot of the questions are, how can I make sure that my advertising is effective? There's a pain point, again, as we look at, your marketing, making sure that you're invested in the right areas, getting the right result. Native advertising is something that you really want to take into the forefront of your thinking, of your process as we move into the future, because a lot of money is going to be spent here, as we talked about, right? Billions of dollars are going to be spent here. So if you've never engaged in this environment, it is time to start thinking about this, and you don't want to get left behind. So with that in mind, feel free to reach out to me. We can discuss how to run these ads, what's the best way to develop them. Landing pages have to be taken into consideration. Types of content that you're putting in the ads has to be taken into consideration, but this is what my job is. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, schedule some time, and we can go over, again, how to effectively place native advertising for you and your business. Thank you again for this time, and God bless.